I'm just fresh out of share jail because I shared Pregaming Pigskin into like my family's group and all that other stuff. So welcome to another week of Pregaming Pigskin. I am the NFL genius, Gene Walzak. To my left, I got the man that's running the ones and twos, the king of production, the prince of production for Sports Empire Network, Kyle Edwards.
What's going on? What's going on? I'm excited for another great show with you guys.
Yes, sir, as always. And then right below me, I got the THEEGODFREY, taking it deep himself, birds deep himself, the Godfrey.
What's up, everyone? Welcome, gentlemen and ladies. I got my tuxedo on. I'm getting ready for the Super Bowl, so can't wait.
I heard you're going out there.
I wish. A lot of money. Maybe sometime in the future, but yeah.
Look,
not this kind.
I called it. I said it was going to happen. I said it on Pregaming Pigskin last week. I said it on the Sunday morning drive, Sunday morning. I called it. I'm pissed off. I'm angry, and the Eagles in the Super Bowl. Tell me how that works, Kyle. Help me understand how that works. Because the Philadelphia Eagles, we'll go over it. It was the early game, so that's the first game that we're going to cover. Decimated the San Francisco 49ers. Destroyed them. Wasn't a football game. A plus 55 points against in their first two playoff games. Number 2 in NFL history. Well, they dominated the number 1 defense in the league. And yet still. Well, they took out Brock Purdy. The 49ers didn't have a quarterback. The easiest road to the Super Bowl I've ever seen. The Eagles caught every break. Man, like, I didn't know. And maybe I'm out of my mind. But Kyle, are there people that get paid on the offensive line to protect the quarterback?
That they do, yes.
So if they get paid to protect their quarterback and they use their backup tight end, Lara Croft, the Tomb Raider.
Sorry, my phone just decided to go nuts. My bad.
You're killing my vibe. But Lara Croft, the Tomb Raider, is trying to block Hassan Reddick. It's Tyler Croft. I just, I call him Lara because he got ran through like he wasn't standing there. And Brock Purdy tears his UCL from a legal hit by Hassan Reddick. Then the 49ers put another quarterback in, and then Ndamukong Suh plants him, but with a legal hit. I don't care who was back there. That Philadelphia Eagles team is mean, but they're legal. And you're going to give me excuses of how, well, if Brock Purdy was healthy the whole game, the 49ers would have won. Are you out of your freaking mind? Did you watch that football game? We ran the ball 46 times for 150 yards versus the number 1 rush defense in the NFL. I broke this down on Birds Deep. I would appreciate if you checked it out after the show. I know we can't get the video up on here, but I broke it down. The Philadelphia Eagles game plan switched right before, and we'll start with this game, obviously. If you remember the play, Jalen Hurts almost gets sacked in the end zone for a safety. He gets out. The Eagles offensive coordinator spotted something, Shane Steichen. And what Steichen did was he started lining up his tight end, his slot receiver, and his X receiver on the right side, putting the running back on the right side, having a full strong side, and then pulling and running to the left side, to the weak side. If you remember the drive that the Eagles went up 14-7 right before the half, they ran the same play 7 out of 9 plays. If you were watching that game, it felt like you were watching a game of Madden versus a rat that runs the same play every play. And they just flipped it. All right, we'll run it this way now. Nope, this way. Nope, we're going to run it this way now. Same formation, same play, multiple times. because the Eagles found something the 49ers weren't stopping. Miles Sanders ran into the end zone like no one touched him. He was just untouched. Jason Kelsey pulled perfectly, and the Eagles took a 14-7 lead. Then Josh Johnson got the yips, dropped the ball. The Eagles pick it up, and another touchdown occurs with another running play. They had 4 rushing touchdowns versus the number 1 rush defense in the NFL. I need to understand. Someone needs to explain to me, who was the tougher team Sunday? Who was the bigger, badder team Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, if you watch the game, the score tells you everything. Philly definitely was. And like, I know I picked the Niners, but I did say the key for the Niners would have been the running game of Philly. Because when it comes to run defense, that's all about not just scheme, but it's discipline. Because if you rush up the field too much, you may create a hole or whatever. So the fact that Philly kept going to the same play, left, right, at a certain point, somebody in that defense should have figured that out and made an adjustment. Now, maybe it was just that they couldn't figure it out. Fine. But I mean, Philly was definitely the more physical team, because if you're going to win that way, running the ball down a top defense's throat, you have to be the more physical team to do that and win the game. No matter what happened with the quarterback situation for the Niners, which, yes, is it unfortunate that, we didn't see Purdy finish the game? Sure, but that's what a depth chart is for. You brought Johnson in, he acted like he hadn't played football in years. I mean, I can't remember the last time I seen somebody drop a shotgun snap in a playoff game. That right there told you that he wasn't ready to go. And when I saw that, I knew the Niners had no chance of winning that game once he came in.
It's funny. They asked online, an Eagles podcaster said, when was the Barstool affiliate was? What was the exact moment that you knew the Eagles were going to the Super Bowl? And I had the most liked comment. I got 1,000 likes on one comment. I said, when Josh Johnson dropped that ball.
Yeah.
It's the exact moment I knew.
I felt that way when the Reddick play happened, because the reason why is, did they see he was foaming from the mouth on the sidelines? Did anybody notice that? Like, he was playing out of his mind. Reddick was, and that dude was like a demon possessed. So the first hit on Fred Warner when he had to go out of the game, I was like, oh, this is my kind of party. Yeah. Dude, they hit him right in the mouth. I'm serious. Like, they were like, no problem. You want a heavyweight fight? We got it. And, they out physicaled them. They could have had Joe Montana. They could have had Steve Young. It didn't matter. They could have had Jeff Garcia. The point is you had it all week. You had a good offensive line. Kyle Shanahan's a great game plan, but he has horrible in-game adjustments. Josh Johnson looked unprepared because they didn't prepare him. And they were busy using him as a decoy in practice when they should have signed someone off the street. They could have found 1,000 guys to be the decoy that would have took a free paycheck to be on a practice squad. You should have been preparing him just in case, especially since you're on a team that has lost 1, 2 quarterbacks. Now you're on your 3rd loss and your 4th one. You should have had an emergency quarterback ready. Maybe it couldn't be Jimmy G, but that's not the point. And then on top of that, with the lack of depth at the position, you say, you know what? I know I have a veteran in Tyler Kroft. Even though George Kittle is highly rated as a blocking tight end, we're going to put him on Hassan Reddick, who, by the way, had a prolific sack season. At that point, I believe he was at 17.5. And, does it sound like good game preparation for me or in-game adjustment on either side of the ball, especially on the offense? But Josh Johnson, they didn't put him in a position to succeed if he was going to be in there. They didn't. It was an impossible situation for them. But that's the game of the NFL. And some teams can bring people in and they can win with their backup quarterback. I've seen the Eagles do it. And I'm not just talking about the Super Bowl. I'm talking about the game Carson Wentz went out. Foles needed to come in and finish that game out, and they did. Okay. So, it's about preparation, having your team prepared. And I just think they were rolling along and they finally got hit in the mouth by a D-line. That was the best one they faced outside of the Cowboys. The Eagles, I think, and the Cowboys, both have good defensive lines they could get after the quarterback. And those were, honestly, if you look at all the games that the Niners have played, those were their two toughest games, were those two games.
And, the thing that got brought up so much during the season was the Eagles' record and like who they played against, the schedule. You've heard that, right? What did they say? The Eagles had the easiest schedule in the NFL.
Played a lot of trash cans, I heard certain people say.
So I went to act. So Kyle, let me ask you a question because you're non-biased, right? You're not an Eagles fan. This isn't the Eagles show.
Right.
But we are talking about the Eagles right now. We're going to give Chiefs their roses in a minute. Do you feel like when you watch that football game, I'm sorry. Do you feel like when you're ranking strength of schedule that you should rank the strength of schedule of what it was in 2021? Or do you think you should rank the strength of schedule of how they finished this year?
Yeah, you should definitely do it based off of how they finished the year. That's why when I look at like ESPN standings, I don't really care about strength of schedule necessarily.
Me either.
Because if you do that before the season, I'm sure they probably did it off of last season where like the Giants weren't good or whatever. But if the Giants had a better season, then the schedule looks better than the strength of schedule necessarily may have said. So ESPN, I like they have that column like strength of victory, where if you follow that along, you kind of get based off how the other teams play, that'll give you like a ranking of basically your schedule that year. So I feel like that one's more effective than strength of schedule because every year there's going to be a team where it's like, oh, this team has the easiest schedule. Then you'll go through the year and clearly they didn't have the easiest one. So it's just a metric that some people use to make whatever point they're trying to make. I never really pay attention to it. Because if you look at the NFC East, you wouldn't say the Eagles would have had an easy schedule.
Look, at the end of the day, when you look at the NFL, the Philadelphia Eagles at the end of the season had the 15th hardest strength of schedule, not the worst. They were middle of the pack. The 49ers end up playing the 27th best strength of schedule at the end of the year. So, look, we can say what we want to say about the Eagles' schedule, but the Eagles dominated the people that were in front of them. Last but not least, the last thing I want to bring up. Godfrey, I know this was a point that you wanted to get into today. This is now the third time. And I'm not saying they would have won this football game. The other two, they definitely would have won. Where Kyle Shanahan made such boneheaded mistakes as a head coach that cost his team an opportunity to play in the Super Bowl, to win the Super Bowl, or, to have a better chance in the game. You guys remember 28-3, right? I know you do, Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Kyle Shanahan did a good job as the offense coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons when they were up 28-3?
No. I mean, we all know that stretch where if they just ran the ball, you probably force them to use timeouts, kick a field goal. It's like a 2-score game. You're pretty good. But they wanted to, I guess, drive a point home, go for a kill shot. Freeman misses a block. You get, so that's kind of been Shanahan's label now. Big game situations, he's made critical mistakes. And I hope it's something that he can figure out because this Niners team is too talented that, you kind of think they should be back in this position next year. But if he's put in the same situation and he hasn't learned anything, I mean, that's going to be tough for the locker room to kind of then go back another offseason realizing this guy's calling the shots. But every time we get to a certain situation, he just doesn't do the right thing.
100%. It happened again. You got the 28-3 game. You have the 49ers versus the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl when they were up 20-10 going into the fourth quarter and they lost the game 31-20. And in that same game, I want to bring you back right before. I'm not sure how much you guys remember that Super Bowl. I do. I would have won $2,500 on a block pool had the 49ers been up at the half 13-10. But do you remember what happened before the half? It was 10-10. The 49ers got the ball with 1:54 left on their own 27-yard line. And they decided to run clock. They didn't attempt to score. They ran the ball twice. They got the clock all the way down. Then they threw the ball on third down to try to get the first down. They got it all the way down to George Kittle, who got it down to the 13-yard line, and they didn't have time to spike the ball or call timeout to kick a field goal, and they ran out of time. That's embarrassing. Embarrassing. The San Francisco 49ers as a whole have a great roster, but it's like you're watching something that you've already seen before. I've already seen this movie. They don't have a quarterback. Say what you want about Brock Purdy. Won a lot of football games with a very talented roster. And nothing against the kid. Played great. Mr. Relevant. Forget Mr. O. Mr. Relevant. However, the 49ers this offseason are looking for a starting quarterback. There's nothing's set in stone. It's either Trey Lance, Brock Purdy, or somebody else. But any breakdown that you'd like to give it a game for yourself, Kyle, what were the things that you looked at? What stood out to you?
Yeah, it was just the run game of the Eagles. You know, Sanders, Gainwell, they just had their way. I was definitely surprised by that. We're seeing Warner, Bosa on the sideline getting worked on and all that. Like Godfrey said, the way that Johnson just didn't look prepared at all. Then them scrambling around with the Juszczyk and McCaffrey, seeing which one of them's going to wear the helmet for play calling. Look at it was a mess for the Niners at the worst possible time. And like I said, I hope the Niners figure out a way to get back here, because I think the team is, really talented. But it's just like, whether or not it will click for Shanahan is going to be something that's going to be looked at. And, the quarterback situation, like you said, I feel like Lance was supposed to be the guy, but he's been hurt now. So it's going to have to be an open competition for sure. Because you have to.
Well, it will be Lance now, because of that Tommy John surgery. It's going to keep him out for at least a year. I mean, if you're going based off what baseball players have to do.
They said 6 months. So he should be ready by August.
But even so, it's still going to be an open competition. You can't really feel confident in either one of them. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting offseason for the Niners.
You know who Shanahan reminds me of? And people might be like, whoa, when I say this. Reminds me of a young Andy Reid.
It's accurate. I was thinking exactly that when you said it.
Us as Eagle fans, a lot of people, and we were talking about this at Burst Deep, they picture Andy Reid right now with Patrick Mahomes and his current form that he's in. We got Andy Reid when he was green. Great coach, turned around the culture in Philadelphia. Can't say enough great things about him. However, people never want to peel back the layers of the onion and look at the things that we had problems with Andy Reid. In-game adjustments, clock management. There was just little things. And Kyle Shanahan has the same problem. He's a great schemer. He can script plays, put players in position to perform, right? Get something out of a low draft pick, coach up a quarterback, right? He's second-generation coach, and he has a great scheme, and he had a great scheme coming in. But I think Kyle Shanahan is going to go the path of Andy Reid. I think eventually he's going to move on from San Francisco, because he might wear his welcome out there, and they're going to part mutually, and then he's going to go somewhere else and learn from his mistakes. It's hard to learn from your mistakes when you're getting patted on your back still, right? If they're making excuses for you and you got too many yes men around you. And I think in San Francisco, that's the situation. They've done a good job overall, but there just seems to be these glaring mistakes. They were up against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, right? The Falcons wasn't the Niners organization. They also went into, it wasn't really hostile territory to play McVay for the Super Bowl last year and couldn't pull it off, right? If Tart makes that interception, they pull it off, but they couldn't pull it off otherwise. I mean, it's one of those things where he is making mistakes over and over again, and Niners fans need to look at that. Like, to me, if Eagles fans we would always look at that inwardly. A lot of sometimes we would try to blame the officials and the way the game went, but a lot of times we would look inwardly and look at the team and be like, no, it's you guys, right? And Niners fans need to really do that with their organization, because really, when you look at this game, and I don't know if I already said this or not, but they were not prepared. I mean, listen, you're down by 3+ touchdowns. I don't care who's throwing it, the punter. You got to throw the ball. Like, you have to throw the ball. The math doesn't work out for you to run the ball so many times. You're not going to catch up. The clock is the clock. It's a running clock. And they weren't prepared for that scenario whatsoever. And then there was no ability to make the in-game adjustment. I'm not a coach. There's certain things I would have done, but it almost seemed like at a certain point they're like, oh, we're screwed and we're just giving up. And they got dominated. The Eagles beat them. They handled them like they were supposed to. And, when you look at stats and you talk about point differential and people talk about strength of schedule, I mean, the point differential is big, right? Like, people say Eagles didn't play anybody. Well, their point differential was plus 133. This is regular season only. Now, remember the Vikings, 13-4, only lost one game less, -3. Historical, I get it. Niners are plus 173, right? They're on a 10-game win streak. Plus 169, plus 127. Coincidentally, all the people we saw down there, Cincinnati was below the at plus 96. So the differential really speaks to the real strength of schedule, because you take care of the bad teams and you beat them. And the Eagles did that, and good teams beat the bad teams. They were, what did you say, Gene? Plus 55 total, over second highest in NFL history in
Yeah, plus 55-point differential for the 1 seed is the second highest in NFL history.
Yeah, there's no luck about it. There wasn't a double doink here. There wasn't, a play that, blew the outcome of the game that was a bad call. This was a straight butt whooping, and they dominated the track.
I'm just wondering real quick. Has anyone talked about how easy the Chiefs' schedule's been?
Yeah.
Because I pulled it up just for shits and giggles. Strength of victory and strength of schedule. I got both. You said you like strength of victory better, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The Philadelphia Eagles, 460. Now, obviously, the higher number is better. The Kansas City Chiefs, 422. Strength of schedule. Kansas City Chiefs, 453. Philadelphia Eagles, 474.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard one thing about the Chiefs' strength of schedule.
Yeah.
Let's go to the 49ers. Philadelphia Eagles, 460. 49ers, 414. Did you hear about the 49ers strength of schedule? Strength of victory. Philadelphia Eagles, 474. San Francisco 49ers, 417. I haven't heard anything about the easiest road. San Francisco 49ers playing in a division with a hurt quarterback, Geno Smith, and a hurt quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
let's call it like it is, guys. It's like, but I can't spend the whole show on the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's move on. The Chiefs played the Bengals in what happened to be the main event of the evening. You had Burrow versus Mahomes. In my personal opinion, you had the top two quarterbacks that play in this game, playing each other in the AFC Championship game in a battle. It was a great game. The offense played well. The defense played well. It was a chess match across the board. Both teams were leaving it all on the field. Patrick Mahomes is a superhero. He's a superhero. Look, we can argue how bad his ankle sprain is, whether it's a high ankle sprain, a low ankle sprain. We can argue that. That's fine. What about the fact that you stack the odds against him even more? In the first quarter, Kadarius Toney went out. In the second quarter, Mecole Hardman went out. In the third quarter, Juju Smith-Schuster went out. He was throwing a ball to Marquez Valdes-Scantling and truck drivers.
Yeah.
And Travis Kelce. And
Can't deny his will to win. His will to win.
Travis Kelce was being double teamed every single play. They were using second, third string tight ends as wide receivers. It was incredible. And on the last play of the game, Mahomes hadn't run the ball the whole game. He runs for 8 yards and then gets pushed in the back for 15 more. And they get 23 yards to put Buckner in field goal range. Last week, I said, I think the Chiefs will win this one off a walk-off Harrison Buckner field goal from 48 yards. It was a walk-off Harrison Buckner field goal from 45 yards. So off by 3 yards. It's a good football game, guys. Good football game. Gotta give the Bengals credit for hanging in there going into Arrowhead. But I'll take it a step further. I really believe that the Kansas City Chiefs and Chris Jones, that defensive line looked hungry to get after the quarterback. The Kansas City Chiefs are number one in 2 things in the NFL. Can either one of you guys guess what they are?
Number 1 in 3 things you said?
2.
I know they were number 1 in QB pressures.
QB pressures is 1. That's great. Number 1 in the league in QB pressures. Can you give me the second one?
Number 1 in the league in eating barbecue.
No.
Andy Reid is the coach. No, okay.
I don't know. 1 score victories.
Pass block win rate.
Oh.
I'm not surprised by that.
So Andy Reid built his team to protect the passer and to get after the passer.
Okay. Yeah.
I can see that.
Really interesting.
That's the recipe for winning.
Yeah, the Chiefs, and you got to give, he has a will to win. Patrick Mahomes has a will to win that's second to almost none. And, and this isn't a knock on him, but if the Eagles are playing the Chiefs and his arm gets hurt like Brock Purdy, Mahomes will go in there and throw left-handed. I swear to God, he's getting back in that game. He's that type of guy. And I mean it. And I'm not, and I'm not saying Brock Purdy didn't have the will to win, but there's just some guys that will go Ronnie Lott and they'll cut off their finger to get back in the game. And Mahomes is one of those guys. People, he is tough. I do think that they went a little WWE on the high ankle sprain. I think it was a low ankle sprain. Definitely wasn't a high ankle sprain. If you medically look up what a high ankle sprain and a low ankle sprain is and look up the difference, no way he would have been moving around the way he was. Now, he was hurt. His ankle was hurt, and you did see it, and he was playing through injury. Give him all the credit in the world. And Mahomes is that dude. And a lot of people forgot about it, and he loses he loses the receivers, and he makes it happen. And he pulls up MVS, Markel Valdez-Scantling, from under rubbish and says, you're a receiver now again, my guy. And he starts throwing him the ball because MVS that's his whole career. He's here 1 week, he disappears another. Well, he activated him when he needed to. And, all that smack that secondary was talking in the Cincinnati Bengals, you got some favors for you, with the some of the receivers being hurt, and you still got beat. So Burrowhead, it's not. It's Arrowhead. Burrow still second best quarterback, still a good quarterback. We're gonna see this. The good thing for fans is this is a rivalry. If the Bengals organization doesn't fuck it up, because we know they do things like that, but this is a rivalry that we should be seeing for years.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. Just add one thing that I do also give them credit that with all the pressure that Burrow was under, this was still just a field goal game. And Osai, I guess, the lineman or linebacker, he had a really good game up until that one play. And that's why I felt so bad how, cameras are on him relentlessly, just showing like, oh, he's whatever. He's like crying into his helmet and all that. And then after the game, that other linebacker, can't remember his name, talking about, it's my last year here. How do you?
Oh, I got his name for you.
Yeah, it was
Jermaine Pratt.
Yeah, Pratt. That's what it was.
I call him Jermaine Pratt.
Like, that's not what you need in that situation. I get it. You just lost probably the most important game of, well, actually, you were in the Super Bowl last year, but organizationally, this is a pretty important game. I get the frustrations, but if you're gonna do something like that, wait till you're in the locker room or something. Do that there. We don't need you doing it on the walk in, so now everybody knows how you're, talking about the situation. So, Kansas City did all they had to. Chris Jones and that defensive front were on Burrow all day, and Eli Apple, whoever wanted to talk trash, Eli Apple especially needs to just stop with all that, because your career has been kind of mediocre for all the hype that you came in with. But I fully expected these two teams to be back there, unless, like Godfrey said, the Bengals somehow find a way to screw it up.
Which is possible. I want to bring up something that regarding Jermaine Pratt, and I'm becoming a fan of this guy more and more, even though he's on a very big enemy team. And Gene has a tattoo of him on his back. I don't know if anybody knows about this. Micah Parsons. He because he went to Penn State. We know Gene. No, but I'm liking him. He's becoming one of my favorite Twitter followers because this guy is a real dude, and he called Jermaine Pratt lame as fuck for that. Because listen, that kid felt sick. I really felt bad for him. Did he deserve the penalty? Yes. It wasn't a smart play. However, you cannot blame the whole loss on that individual play. There was a lot of mistakes. Burrow didn't play his best game. Still played a good game, but didn't play his best game. And, Micah Parsons tweeted, "That's lame as fuck," to the clip of Jermaine Pratt. Also, Micah Parsons we'll talk about that later, gave Lane Johnson some props, and he got heat from the Cowboys fans. But he's quickly becoming one of my favorite Twitter followers because, listen, man, he's right. That is lame. And Micah probably feels for the guy because, dude, that kid was sick to his stomach. I wanted the Chiefs to win, but looking at him, I felt bad for him because he had the weight of the world on his shoulders at that moment. And you could tell. And his teammate was over there consoling him. So then they're going in the locker room, and Jermaine Pratt's like, he's like, "Why'd you push the quarterback out?" Like, I know Jermaine Pratt's mad too, but Parsons was right. That was lame as fuck. Or lame ASF, as he put on Twitter.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Any final comments on the NFC or AFC championship game?
No, I think we got it all covered.
I'm going to the next thing that is on the agenda is we're going to skip pre-gaming the Super Bowl until next week. We're going to pre-game Super Bowl. Instead of pre-gaming Pigskin, it's going to be pre-gaming the big game. I might have wings for you guys next week. Just sitting here eating wings, some pizza, some nachos, something, cheese and pretzels. I don't know. We'll talk about our favorite pre-game meals next week, but we'll get into that. But what a lot of stuff happened in the NFL this week. Tom Brady retired. The GOAT walks away. My first question will be, do you think this time is for good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah.
I do too. I don't think anybody's arguing that, right? Mm-hmm. But it's got to be asked. Question's got to be asked after last time. My second question would be, and I asked this on Wire to Wire last night, and I'll ask it again now. What was your favorite Tom Brady moment of all time? Kyle, I'm going to go to you first because you probably have so many.
There are a lot.
Your favorite Tom Brady moment ever?
Man, that's good. That's a good one. Let's see. I would probably say, I'm trying to think which game that was. The one where, the Malcolm Butler interception. And seeing Brady jumping up and down like a little kid on the playground after that play. Because Brady was one of those who, if you weren't playing well, he was not afraid to give it to you on the sideline. But he also kind of took the time with everybody on the team. Butler was a guy nobody really knew about. Biggest game of his career, comes with the biggest play, and Brady was his biggest cheerleader. So I guess that's one of many, but that's the one that stands out to me, right as you asked the question.
Godfrey.
My favorite is when they caught him taking a videotape out of the camcorder in 04 Super Bowl. No, I'm joking. That didn't really happen. Red-handed. The Deflategate. No, my favorite of him is kind of the birth of Tom Brady, and it's the tuck rule game, right? That was kind of not the birth of Tom Brady, but that was I think the birth of maybe what we could call now the Patriots dynasty with getting that win. And I just like the controversy and the story surrounded behind it, and the theater behind it. And for some reason, I like seeing the Raiders get screwed over. I don't know what, it warms my heart. I don't know, but that was my favorite Brady moment. Just a really cool setting when you look at the snow and what was going on in the game, and that's probably a top moment in NFL history. Really, one of the top moments.
Well, my favorite moment for Tom Brady is Super Bowl 52 when Brandon Graham strip sacked him and the Eagles recovered the ball to win the Super Bowl.
Well, that's a good one. I just thought we were going with more of a positive moment.
I'll give respect to the GOAT. I will. Yeah. All right, I'll tell you a quick story. I was all over the Atlanta Falcons. All over the Atlanta Falcons in the 2016, 2017 Super Bowl. I was all over them. I bet $500 on them, plus 3.5. I bet $100 on them to win by 7 to 10 points at like plus 600. I bet there's so many bets I had on the Atlanta Falcons. So during the game, I hated them because that was an incredible comeback. That 28-3 comeback. I sat down. I watched this game the other day, and I watched all 22. And you can watch any of these old games and check out, like the basically each game and break it down play by play. And I count it. And I just wanted to get your opinion. I want to hear what you guys think. Do you know how many plays, and I counted every single one of them, that in offense and defense, that gotta have it plays? Like if they didn't get that play, like get a stop on third, whatever, or get a first down on fourth and something, if they didn't get that play, they weren't going to win the Super Bowl. And normally a game might have 2, 1, 3. How many do you think were in that game? Kyle, I'll start with you.
I'm kind of disqualified because I think I heard you with this stat.
Oh, you heard it last night?
Yeah. So okay. I'll let Godfrey guess.
Godfrey, did you hear it last night too?
I don't think so. How many plays that gotta have it plays in that game?
Like 100%. If they didn't get the play, the game they were losing the Super Bowl.
It had to be like 12, just like
14.
Wow. Yeah. I remember that game because I had money on the over and the Patriots winning. And I was actually, oddly enough, Kyle will love this. I was in a house in New Jersey full of Patriots fans that were from the Boston area. Just ended up happening. And
how depressing was that house at 28-3?
Oh, they were depressed. And since I had money on them, it was weird because I'm an Eagles fan. I was hugging Patriots fans as they won. I was like, I want my bet. Yes. Because the bet came down to the wire. And I'm just sitting there like, they're gonna come back. I'm like, is this possible? They just had another play, the Edelman catch. I mean, mind blowing. Yeah, man, it was just, and Brady is going to be unmatched. I think he's the GOAT. A lot of people would deny him. The old timers were like, "Oh, football is different." I hate that take. He won a Super Bowl with 2 different teams. Is he still the only guy to have done that as a quarterback? I believe so. Right. Only got to win Super Bowl title with 2 different teams?
No, that can't be right.
I think it's right.
Hard for that to be right.
It can't be right.
No, 2 different teams. He took a Super Bowl to win and won. Think of
you. Peyton Manning did it. I know that off the top of my head.
That's right. So there's right, 2. Yeah. There's 2 guys, but
I still don't think that's right.
There's not many guys out there that have multiple Super Bowl rings on different teams. I'm telling you, it's probably 2 dudes. Manning's the one, but Manning did it before him. But his will to win, man. It's unmatched, but I do think that he's leaving the NFL in good hands because I see that attitude in Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, and Joe Burrow, and the will to win is just, he was that competitive. I mean, he wasn't a specimen physically, right? Like he was never,
Yeah.
but he just had a will to win. He just wanted to win that bad. And, that is part of the reason why I think he's leaving. I think he doesn't feel like he's surrounded by people that have the will to win like he does. And, situation's not there. And, he's got to take care of the next chapter of his life. There's a divorce. He's got to be involved with the kids, so that's Brady moving off to the Sunday. What else does he have left to prove? Doesn't he have the touchdown record, the yardage record?
He's got it all.
He's got it all. I mean, there's nothing left. How many rings? 7? Is it 6? I can't remember.
7 rings. He's like Ariana Grande.
I mean, he went even past Jordan level. 7 rings.
I'll tell you right now, I'm not kidding when I say this. I don't know if there's a video editor out there, but if there is, I think there's a lot of money in a viral video in putting like a Tom Brady into a thank you next video with 7 rings and being able to have like each ring, thank you next. Like I feel like I could write the script for this editing, but I can't do it. But I'm telling you right now, it'll go viral. You're welcome. My advice works. But look, I got to give credit where credit's due to the greatest of all time. And I got to take a parting shot at Mike Francesca. I don't know if you guys
I saw
this
that
morning. Talk about on the day after the guy retires. I don't think he was the greatest. Shut up. Wasn't the greatest regular season quarterback. That was Peyton Manning. Wasn't the greatest in the Super Bowl. That was Joe Montana.
Yeah.
Shut up. And then Stephen A. Smith agreed with him.
Yeah, and you know what's annoying about that comment about Peyton Manning? He was a good regular season quarterback, but he was a 500 quarterback in the playoffs.
Yep.
I believe because
it wasn't. He didn't put this all together. I didn't know it was like not a compilation award. Like it's almost like when I use this weird analogy, but when I judge Batmans, right? Like the people that played Batman, like there's Batman and there's Bruce Wayne, right? There's 2 different actors in there, right? You're Batman, there's Bruce Wayne. And when you look at the Batmans, like who was the best Bruce Wayne? Who was the best Batman? That's not how you judge it by who was the best overall. Did both the best, right?
Yeah.
Because George Clooney was a hell of a Bruce Wayne. Terrible Batman. We can all agree there. And Christian Bale was a hell of a Batman. Probably not the greatest Bruce Wayne in the world.
Yeah.
Val Kilmer was a terrible Bruce Wayne. I know that it's just a weird one-off topic, but it's a compilation award, right? He got this 9 Super Bowls and won 7 of them. And the only time 4-0 is better than 7-2 is if you've only played 4 years. That's it. Yeah. Because those other 5 years you didn't make it, you lost before. So wait, losing in the Super Bowl is worse than losing in the divisional round?
No, actually had 10 Super Bowl appearances, I believe.
He's 7-3.
Yeah.
He lost to Seattle, Philadelphia, and who? He lost to
Billy and the 2 Giants
twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 10 Super Bowl appearances.
0-3 against the NFC East.
Yeah.
But he did, and that's the thing Francesca said, or whatever his name is, that boomer. He goes, well, Montana was the better Super Bowl quarterback. He was a great Super Bowl quarterback, but he only got there 4 times, and he never lost. So old timers want to hang on to it. Before Montana was like, well, Bradshaw never lost. Bradshaw's defense carried him, and he was a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong for his era. Take nothing away from Terry, but Montana was a great quarterback. Called him Joe Cool, and until Brady won his 5th ring, I had Montana as the best all time. Yeah. After that, I went to Brady, and the reason is because, listen, I don't know if you'll ever see a quarterback. Well, actually, Mahomes might have a shot, but that kind of success over that long of a period is impressive. I mean, you can't deny it.
You're never going to see a quarterback win 7 Super Bowls. Yeah.
Or even go to 10 Super Bowls. I mean,
I don't know what's more impressive, winning 7 or going to 10. Yeah. And like I said, the only way 4-0 could be better than 7-3 is if you only played 4 years. Montana didn't only play 4 years. Montana lost in the divisional round. Montana lost in the conference championship round. Montana didn't make the playoffs 1 year. It's like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
Here's a stat for you. Peyton Manning is 14-3 in the playoffs. Okay. And Brady's been to 10 Super Bowls. You know, 1-7. I mean, that's kind of daunting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Tom Brady's playoff record, I believe, I'm looking it up right now, is 35-12. So he's lost less games than Peyton Manning's won. And because we always have this Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady argument, he's lost less games than Peyton Manning's actually won. He's lost less games than Peyton Manning's lost too. And he's been, I mean, it's like, look, it's just 35-12.
Here's a crazy stat. How many years did Tom Brady not make the playoffs in his 22 season career?
I'm going to say twice, maybe 3 times max. If you're counting his rookie year.
Because there was the year, like he got hurt.
The ACL year, I'm not counting.
Okay.
I was counting that year.
The primary starter for the year.
Once?
That is correct. One time in 2002 was the only time.
That was his rookie year, right?
No.
Mm-mm.
1999 was his rookie year, if I'm correct. 1999, 2000. The 2000 Super Bowl is when the Patriots beat the Rams, when they beat the greatest show on turf. Am I correct there?
Yes. Yep.
The year before that, I think the Rams beat the Eddie George Tennessee Titans. That was the 98-99 season with Kevin Dyson a yard short. The year before that was the back-to-back years for Elway and Terrell Davis, 98 and 97. Before that was Brett Favre. Before that was Troy Aikman. Before that was Steve Young. Before that was Troy Aikman. Before that was Troy Aikman. Before that was Mark Rippon. Before that was or Doug Williams. Before that was Phil Simms. Yeah, hopefully I got that all right. I'm pretty sure I got every one of those right. I'm a freaking walking encyclopedia when it comes to NFL football. I'm ridiculous. I'll bet you, just for fun, I could probably give you every Super Bowl champion from now until 1990. It's 32 years. It's absurd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it'd probably take me a while. And I doubt if I could get them in order or anything like that.
We'll do a Sporkle later. We'll do a Sporkle. They have Super Bowl champions. And you just fill them out. But whatever.
Yeah, I'm addicted to that website. So, yeah, I know.
I won't bore you guys. It's fun.
Yes.
I won't bore you guys with breaking that down. But I'm pretty sure I can give you everyone. Every single one. Because I remember them. I remember because I was there. Whose line was that? Whose line's that?
Oh, man, it's on the tip of my tongue.
Swami, man. Chris Berman.
Oh, yeah.
I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You put a picture of him in there. Like,
do you think Mike Francesco was wearing, when he was coming up with this response, do you think he was wearing maybe a Joe Namath jersey under his T-shirt or under a shirt or something like that?
It's just, they put Mike and the Mad Dog on First Take today. It was like the reuniting Mike Francesca and Mad Dog. And they're both clowns. Like, I'm not trying to be an asshole when I say this. I 100% would be better than either one of them.
I like Russo because he's been on Stern and he comes on Stern regularly. He's when he's not a sports guy, it's an interesting interview, but I like Russo. Francesca, like, he's way over the top to me. And I'm like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
Russo, I think, of more of like a baseball guy,
Yeah.
But Francesca, man, he's time has passed him by, So,
all right. Well, next thing we got to get into is a couple coaching situations, and then we'll close with Mr. Mixon. I know it just happened, but we're going to talk about it on Pregaming Pigskin. Will be the first show to be able to talk about it. Whew. Coaching changes. This week we had 2 of them, 2 big ones. But the biggest buffoon of the week, the egg in the head. Do me a favor, somebody tag Jake for me. Hope I get Jake Silva in the chat. And I love Jake. Jake's one of the best guys
Mhm.
on Sports Empire Network. He's awesome at what he does.
Yeah.
But he's a Charger fan. Somebody tag him. Somebody tag him in the comments.
I'll do that right now.
All right. So I want to talk about that real quick. And I want to talk about, as soon as I see him say hello, I'm gonna break it right to what my biggest loser of the week is. So we'll start with DeMeco Ryans and the Houston Texans. Kyle, you nailed it. You got it right. I didn't believe it could happen. I didn't believe it. I really didn't. I didn't think that the guy that had the pick of the litter of where he wanted to go would go there. However, he called it his dream job. His wife is from the Houston area. Houston got it right. And I think the fact that they signed into a 6-year contract, gave him a boatload of money, told you that they were ready to commit to a head coach to build their franchise. And DeMeco's that guy.
Yeah.
Guy builds an incredible defense. And if you watch the Eagles 49ers game, man, watching that 49ers defense is fun. Even though the Eagles won the football game, he was lining up as nickel double A, showing cover 0, and would break it off in the cover 2 man before the play was snapped. The disguising defenses, next level.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really interested to see what he does in Houston. That AFC South is starting to get like a little bit more interesting. You know, the Titans have always been decent, but now you have Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence. Now you got DeMeco Ryans coming in. He's probably going to get his quarterback and Bryce Young. Yeah. What are your thoughts on DeMeco Ryans hire? Kyle, we'll go to you first because you nailed it.
Well, for me, it was, if the Texans wanted to completely wipe away the past 2 years, this was the guy they had to get. And, it would have been understandable if Ryans kind of turned it down because of what happened the past 2 years. But I think for him, as a defensive mind going in there, he has something to work with that defense.
Yeah.
So I think that probably got him excited to go there, as well as having the 2nd and 12th pick in the draft. So you can go ahead and, figure out the quarterback situation, one of the picks. You can maybe get yourself a receiver or something like that. I am interested to see who he brings as an offensive coordinator. I mean, maybe a Leftwich pops up there. Who knows? But I think it was the right hire. I think, like you said, in that division, it's not crazy to think that he couldn't turn the Texans around quickly the same way that Peterson did with the Jaguars. And we could see, Jaguars and Texans in a couple of years fighting it out for that division crown. Because Indy, I think we'll have to see who Indy hires as a coach. And Tennessee's going through some transition right now with their quarterback situation. Derrick Henry's getting up there, so we don't know what they'll look like. But I think they knocked out of the park, and at least gives Texans fans a reason to be optimistic. Like, all right, maybe this front office isn't completely, over their head. They at least can target the right guy and get him. So great hire by them.
Yeah.
Isn't it like when the 6 or the 5 at the dance? I felt like the Texans getting DeMeco Ryans was like Jermaine Dupri bagging Janet Jackson. Like, I'm not like, he's a 5, right? On a good day, he's a 5. And Janet's a 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like it was, I did predict he would go there as well. And the reason why I thought this is there's only so many head coaching opportunities in the NFL. When you look at the Broncos, they wanted to go offense. DeMeco was probably a hot candidate for them as well. Good defense there. But really, the one advantage of going to the Texans outside of the organizational BS is it's a clean slate almost. You're getting a young quarterback. The only thing I worry about with him, because I see this as a problem for a lot of defensive coaches, bringing in a good offensive mind to mold your young quarterback is important, as you said. And I felt like it was a good, and it's familiarity with the area, with ownership. Even though they have a bad reputation right now, they stepped up with 6 years. I mean, it said that length of contract says they're going to give him time to build a culture, which he really needs to do. And D'Amico is well respected. He was well respected as a player on the field everywhere he went, and as a coach after that. And that is probably the best thing that they've done in a long time in Houston. So,
damn right.
Perfect spot for him. I thought it made sense just because that's who he was drafted by. And sometimes the devil is better than the devil you don't know. And if I'm D'Amico and I'm looking at Arizona, the Broncos, he's like, this is a tough situation, every single one. But at least Houston, you're dealing with you're going to be dealing with younger talent because you got, Kyler Murray, he's a veteran now. He's not that many years in. And then you got Russell Wilson. So I think that was a perfect landing spot for him.
Definitely.
So.
Listen, the Texans defense is incredible. Like, incredible the way it's set up. Like, they have young talent all across. I'm not saying they're great now, but my point being is the way they're set up, they're going to be a top 10 defense in football within 2 years. No doubt about it with D'Amico Ryans.
Yeah, and that's another thing you're taking over. And listen, Lovie Smith helped build that defense, and he helped mold those young men in the 1 year he was there. He was actually there as a DC the year before, though, right? Wasn't he? He wasn't. Thought he was a DC the year before.
You think Lovie was on Culley's staff?
Wasn't he on Culley's staff? I thought he was.
You might be right. I'm not 100% sure. You're normally right about these weird factoids.
Yeah. So he helped mold that, and Lovey's a well-respected defensive mind, and D'Amico's taken over a Lovie Smith defense. I mean, they get after the ball. That's what his defense does. I mean, look at what they did with in that Cowboys game. That was a hell of a game.
Yeah.
I just looked it up. Just wanted to see because just for the heck of it. Defensive coordinator. Texans hire Lovie Smith as defensive coordinator under David Culley. You're always right on these weird factoids, brother. Gotta give you credit. So D'Amico Ryans is a great hire. We can all agree there. Let's talk about the next hire, Sean Payton. Sean Payton was hired by the Denver Broncos. The Broncos gave up a first and a second to get him. They got their guy to remold Russell Wilson. But that's not why I'm super, man. Jake, I hope you're in the chat, brother. I love you. This might be painful. So not only did the Los Angeles Chargers not fire Brandon Staley to hire Sean Payton, he's now in your division coaching against you for the Denver Broncos. I just want to take a step back for a minute, okay? So when we look at the way franchises are set up in that division, you have Justin Herbert, who's a premier quarterback, right? But would you say they're in a better situation in Los Angeles than Denver would be with Sean Payton? I know they're not in a better situation than Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid in Kansas City. So at best, you have the third best coach in the division because you still have Josh McDaniels, which is very helpful. But if Aaron Rodgers goes to the Raiders, like a lot, reports are talking about with Devontae Adams, he's going to move into my neighborhood. Is it far-fetched to think that the Chargers could be the worst team in that division next year?
I mean, that's wild to think, but it could very well happen. But they wouldn't be the worst in terms of talent, though, which is crazy.
But am I wrong to think that Brandon Staley could be the worst coach in that division next year if Aaron Rodgers goes to the Oakland Raiders? Because you'd have Reed, Peyton, Rodgers. I'm kidding. McDaniels, I don't give him any credit. But Brandon Staley, they kept his job. And they got Kellen Moore to be their offensive coordinator. Guy just got fired from Dallas.
Yeah, plot twist is I think Kellen Moore is the head coaching and wait in case Staley falters. They're just going to push him into being the head coach. Chargers have done this move. They've done this move many times. North Turner was an offensive coordinator, and then when Schottenheimer was gone, they moved him in, right? So I think Kellen Moore got a bad rap. Cowboys are idiots. I love it as an Eagles fan. Keep it up. Mike McCarthy calling plays is fantastic. I know we'll talk about that later. But Staley, is he a leader of men? Like, he became in as a defensive guy. What does he really do well? The Chargers are known for making mistakes and holding on to them for too long. And I don't know if the Chargers would have opened up their pocketbook to sign Sean Payton and give up the first-round draft pick that the Saints ended up getting.
Definitely wouldn't have. Yeah. I agree with you. But Sean Payton to the Denver Broncos is what we're here to talk about. How do you think Russell Wilson this would be the fun question that we ask. So, Kyle, what do you think about the hire of Sean Payton? Obviously, you think it's a good hire. The compensation that came along with them. And where do you think Russell Wilson lands next year? Here you get 3 options. Top 10 quarterback, middle 10, or bottom 3rd.
Oh, that's good. I mean, yeah, like you said, great hire. I mean, if I'm Russell Wilson, I definitely feel more confident in Peyton than Nathaniel Hackett. So I think we'll get
Nathaniel can't hack it. You mean Nathaniel can't hack it?
Right. We'll get more of the probably Russell Wilson that we saw once Hackett got fired, and Russell Wilson actually looked like a competent quarterback. So we'll get that probably to another degree next season. I would not be surprised if he was probably towards the bottom of the top 10. Because I think, with that team, the defense will probably still be good next year. Now, if you're going to tell me that they can maybe upgrade running back, because right now they just have Williams. They moved on from Gordon, get another running back in there. I keep hearing stuff about Jerry Jeudy, like he might be on his way out or something like that.
Not anymore.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So now, like, with Peyton coming in, you might have a receiving group that's now revitalized, and you just get
you're getting Tim Patrick back.
The board. Yeah, Patrick, who was a guy that they missed last year, and
Michael Thomas is coming.
Yeah, so
is Michael Thomas coming?
I don't know. I just made that shit.
Well, I mean,
they could get Michael Thomas for they could go buy him at $5 below. That's Michael Thomas. Listen, man, that he to me. We'll get back to the Chiefs. He's the new Josh Gordon. Everybody thinks of the season he had. They're like, oh, Thomas is back. He's back. You're never going to see that type of production from him again. I bet my left nut on it.
Oh, I think the thing with Michael Thomas is, and I don't like calling people this very often, but I do it way too much because I see it from a mile away. And I remember a song that Eminem had about Everlast. And he said, "You're just a quitter and you're bitter because I came along."
Yeah.
I'm not going to sing too much on here, but I think Michael Thomas is a quitter. Every time the going gets tough, he got ankle injury. He can't play no more.
Yep.
Call it like it is.
100%. I think the Broncos hire is the best possible. I think it's the best hire in the offseason. And I'm going to tell you why. They need a guy like that. And I do think Russell is a top 10 quarterback again. The reason why Hackett didn't work, and you see this with a lot of young coaches. I'm going to give you an example this year outside of Nathaniel Hackett. Gene might not like this example, but Gene was talking about how Jaire Alexander is going to shut down Justin Jefferson, which he did. But a lot of people read about the equipment manager said during that game, you need to use different cleats. They wanted to use, I believe, the molded cleats because they look better. They ignored the equipment manager, and it cost them dearly in that game. I don't know if it would have made a difference. A veteran head coach would say, you're fucking wearing those cleats or you're not playing. So, young coaches have a problem in inserting your leadership and dominance, where Sean Payton can walk in there and knock down on the table and be like, I got a Super Bowl ring too, Russell. So you need to sit down and you need to watch and you need to get better. People forget when Drew Brees came to the Saints, he was coming off a shoulder injury. He was good on the Chargers, but he got better with Sean Payton. And The thing that I remember about Sean Payton, where I was impressed with him most as a coach, although I kind of think he is, I don't like coaches that leave when a situation gets bad and then like I'm unretired magically, but that's a whole nother conversation. But was when Breeze went down and he went 7-0 with Teddy Two Gloves. And that right there shows me a coach that has the ability to mold his offense within season to the ability of his team. And you got a young team, a young Cortland Sutton. If you give Cortland Sutton a top 10 Russell Wilson, we're talking about a 1,200-yard season for this guy, 10 touchdowns. I'll say it right now. He's that type of player if he gets a quarterback like that. Javonte Williams, I've always been high on this guy. Assuming he comes back healthy, he will be a beast in that system with Sean Payton. Joe Lombardi was his old offensive coordinator, I believe. He is no longer employed. I have a feeling he might be on his staff. Maybe I missed him reporting he's not, but so the band is back in town, and that is who they needed for a Russell Wilson. Someone who's going to command respect.
You better be waiting because Vic Fangio or Greg Williams will be signed as that defensive coordinator within the next week.
You think Fangio's coming back to the Broncos?
Maybe not. He likes the San Francisco job. He had a verbal agreement with Miami and then backed out on it, which is hilarious. I love that anybody backs out on anything even wrong. Scumbag franchise. But look, call it like it is. Jake, we were just talking about. Thank you. There he is. Jake, we were just talking about, and we kind of. I wanted to hear from a Chargers fan and how they felt like Sean Payton going to the Denver Broncos. How you felt about that, because we all felt like the Chargers would be the perfect landing spot for Sean Payton when we talked about this a few weeks ago. And I kind of wanted to get your take on it. And, we'll put the comment right up as soon as you put it up. But as a Chargers fan, do you feel like it's a double whammy considering you didn't get Sean Payton and now you got to play against him for the next 4 or 5 years? And I know that you're confident in I've listened to your show, and I know that you're confident not in Brandon Staley, but in Kellen Moore going over there to help the offense. What's your take on the Sean Payton thing? And then we'll go back to what we were talking about, gentlemen. That's why we tagged you.
Yeah, Sean Payton.
I think that I don't care who. I think he'll sign one of his old guys as defense coordinator.
Well, I'll give you a quick update.
Good.
Live on the show, it just got reported. I was reading it about an hour ago. They're seriously keep thinking about keeping Evero. They're meeting with him. Broncos head coach Sean Payton will meet with DC Evero to discuss the possibility of him remaining with the team. They did have a good defensive performance. I think Fangio ends up in the 49ers. Now, Greg Williams, I could see ended up back there if Evero doesn't stay there. But I don't think they're trying to get rid of him because that was one of the few bright spots of Denver was their defense last year. So I think they might try to keep that guy around, in my opinion. Other than that, I do think you'll be getting the second coming of Greg Williams. I think Fangio wants the 49ers job instead.
Why would you not?
Yeah.
That's the most ideal job to walk into. That's why you turned down the Miami Dolphins job, 100%. Yeah. You want to walk into San Fran. DeMeco Ryans. Look at the 49ers' last two defensive coordinators, Robert Saleh and DeMeco Ryans, both head coaches somewhere else.
No, well, Vic Fangio is never going to be a head coach again. That's for sure. He's been eliminated off the island.
Which is why Shanahan probably wants him. That makes more sense. You don't have to worry about replacing you in a couple years. Honestly, it just means more competition in the division. Yeah, it's a double whammy, and that's because of the Spanos' long history of coaches. But I do like Kellen Moore hiring because in 3 years, his offense has been top 5. That's a Shane Steichen type that we've been looking for Herbert. Needs to be let loose and get the young wide receivers, get more young wide receivers for Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Okay. I know more competition's fun, and I promise you this, they'll have the most nationally televised games in that division again, particularly if Aaron Rodgers goes to Las Vegas, like I think could happen. I really believe that could happen. But we'll see.
I think Josh McDaniels is awful. I just think he's awful.
But for some reason he has some clout in the league. where people like him from his, I don't know if it's his time in New England.
Yeah,
That's what it is. Yeah.
he
Kyle,
took a piss next to Tom Brady. Took a piss next to Tom Brady, the urinal.
But Kyle, in New England, they love him, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah, they kind of assumed McDaniels was going to be the next coach once Belichick moved on, but I mean, he it's just that his offensive mind is what intrigues everybody. But I guess these teams haven't figured out that some guys can just be a coordinator; they can't be a head coach. But that's probably what McDaniels is. But I think everybody's assuming that all it takes is for the right opportunity, and you might get a good coach. So that's what Indy wanted, and then he backed out, and that's what the Raiders are kind of going after.
Well, Irsay took a massive dump for about an hour at his house, and his wife said no because of that. I guess he didn't turn the exhaust fan on or light some incense or something or light a match, but apparently you heard that report, right?
You heard that report, right?
I was dying laughing.
They had inappropriate behavior and had to extend it long time in the bathroom.
That dude was in there tweaking on meth, dropping deuces. You know what I mean? I can't even. I'm just trying to look at Jim Irsay. I mean, when you look at that guy, he looks like he's got a lot of miles on him. That's all I got to say. The only person that looks worse as an owner is Mark Davis with that haircut. I mean, he should be fined for that haircut. The NFL fines people. Yeah.
They fine him every single day for having that haircut.
How can you find players for uniforms and let him walk out on the field with that haircut? I have no idea. They need to file charges or something against his barber. This barber may be blind. Stevie Wonder may be cutting his hair. I don't know. But I just
like how do you even name that? Do you just go like, give me the Mark Davis? Oh, that's you.
Well,
I can't see anybody else trying to get that.
He's a
really bowl cuts. That's the worst bowl cut I've ever seen.
When you look like that, you know you're surrounded by people that kiss your ass because no one has the balls to say like, yo, my guy, that haircut, it looks like ass. I'm just letting you know. I would get fired by him. Like, I know you might fire me, but one day you're going to think about this and you're going to thank me. I fired that guy, but he saved me from being a meme. And right now he's the meme for a bad haircut.
Well, 2 more big head coaching jobs are still available. And I kind of wanted to get your opinions on that, and then we'll wrap up the show. So first one is the Indianapolis Colts. I'm going to bring up the coaching odds because I love looking at the betting odds for who's going to be the next coach. Hold on. I'm going to read this.
Fucked by the Colts again.
I love Jake. Hold on. Let me read it. What the team needs to do is let Kellen Moore and Justin Herbert run the offense and let Staley fix this defense because the run defense has been horrific the last 2 seasons. That's got to stop and needs to be better. And Joey Bosa needs to straighten himself out this year or he's gone. We don't need another liability in the room. The team needs to work hard 100%, 110% if they want to win a Super Bowl. Absolutely zero excuses because Chargers fans like myself are sick of it for far too long. Kellen Moore, and then it dots out. I can't see anything else.
Bosa's got to stop hanging out with his butt buddies all the time.
All right, so I want to bring up the odds, coaching odds.
You're a loser, bro. You don't have all the. I could pay the fines. I'm rich.
This was updated February 2nd, which is today. All right, this is perfect. So let's start with the Indianapolis Colts. Who do you think is going to be the next head coach, and who do you think should? And when you hear the odds for this, I am going to blow a gasket.
I mean,
oh, this is amazing. I can't understand how this is real. How is this real life?
Well, who's the odds-on favorite?
Who do you think?
At this point, what, Saturday?
Jeff Saturday is minus 175.
No. That's disaster.
I honestly think nobody really wants to work for Irsay. Saturday would do it.
About that.
But I'm just saying, like
the guy was pulled from ESPN.
Yeah. I think someone will work for him.
1-7 blew the biggest lead in NFL history. Was an absolute disaster.
To be an NFL coach, you have to weather the storm of a lot of shit. So you got to be willing to weather that storm. I've been in positions of jobs where, like, when I used to be in wireless, like they're like, "Oh, well, we'll promote you to manager." but you got to take this kiosk. And I'm like, shit, I don't get a standalone store. So the point is someone's going to take that job. If they give it to Jeff Saturday, it's a disaster. I mean, for me, you're going to get a quarterback. I think they're going to take Will Levis, who might end up being this year's mistake. And I don't think they should, but they probably will. But if you're going to do that, you need to hire a guy that's a offensive QB-centric coach or someone that was a play caller. And, if I were them, I'd be trying to get Shane Steichen from the Eagles. I mean, that's who I'd be going after.
Go there because I'm telling you, I don't think Steichen goes there, and you might be right.
I think you're right about that.
But I think Steichen won't go there because
the way they did Frank.
Correct. And Nick's relationship with Frank.
Yeah, remember, Nick was like, that was for Frank. That was for Frank Reich. I was just like, yo.
The point that just blows my mind is Jeff Saturday. Like, how many overqualified coaches? Eric Bieniemy has been putting in his time for years as the Chiefs' offensive coordinator.
I have a theory on Bieniemy. I feel like it's one of two things. One, he doesn't come off well. People don't like him. Remember, they said he had a rocky relationship with Mahomes. Or he could be waiting to buy his time to be the next in line when Andy leaves. However, they brought Matt Nagy back, and it sounds like in the pecking order of things, Matt Nagy's above him. So I'm serious. I mean, if you read about it, you look at it.
Saturday's going to get the job. Jim Caldwell is still unemployed. Brian,
they're not going to hire him because
unemployed.
Who else is unemployed that shit?
Steichen, Jonathan Gannon. There's so many.
Yeah, there were so many names during the start of the coaching carousel that it's like Indy doesn't care about any of that. Even after the 1-7 Saturday being unprepared, he was still a part of the process to hire the next coach, and he got 2 interviews for this job, and it's like, I get you brought him in last year. That should have been it. He shouldn't have been in consideration. But when they announced that, I had a feeling that this is going to somehow work out to Saturday getting some long-term deal. Irsay will say, well, we think he's a good young coach. He just needs time or whatever. And it's like, but all these guys that are out there who would clearly be better than him today, but we're getting just Saturday.
I can't do this. Kyle, I can't do this. I'm not going to blow another gasket this week. I'm not going to do it.
Saturday.
Yeah, I know.
There's two jobs out there that I think a lot of people don't want. And the next one is the Cardinals one. I think some people don't want to coach Kyler Murray. The guy I think that should go there might be able to fix him because he's not going to take his shit. And once we get there, I'll say who that is. But I mean, I don't.
I'm not doing the Colts anymore. Screw the Colts. I hope the Colts burn.
Yeah. I think Brian.
I'm right there with you.
Brian Flores should be the Arizona Cardinals coach.
He's the favorite. He's minus 150.
And he's not. He's going to be like, yo,
what?
He's not going to take Kyler's shit.
Yeah. No.
He's got to be a Mike Tomlin like coach.
The funny thing is, they said the biggest holdup. I read the report earlier. I got it right here. I'm going to read this to you. This is ridiculous.
Well, they said Sean Payton went in there and he left looking like Kevin James because he's gained a lot of weight. And they said he left and he was like, I don't want no parts of Arizona. I mean, the Bidwells aren't, they've had some success, with Fitzgerald.
Know all the owners' names? That's ridiculous. But the reason that the Cardinals head coaching search is taking a long time to fill is related to quarterback Kyler Murray. Many of the desired candidates don't want to take the job, knowing they'll be tied to the hip of Murray for the next 4 seasons.
Because they don't want to coach his ass.
Yeah. That's
they
wild.
They created a fucking monster in Arizona. And now they have to live with it.
If I'm Brian Flores, and I'm dead serious when I say this, I am not taking any job for less than 4 years. I'm just not doing it. Yeah. You're giving me a 4 or 5 year contract, or I'm not taking the job. I'll stay in Pittsburgh. I'll work with Mike Tomlin, and the next job that comes up, I'll take that because he's in the perfect scenario now. He has job security and stability around him. Teams are trying to interview him for DC. The Browns want to interview him for DC. He's in the perfect scenario right now.
Yeah,
there's no chance I take a head coaching job unless it's a front office and organization that wants to commit to me long term. Brian Flores was a great coach in Miami. Not a good one, a great coach in Miami. And I think that he's good enough to help that dumpster fire organization in Arizona. But he won't take Kyler's crap. I'll tell you that right now.
You know what the Arizona Cardinals are? I'll give you a great analogy. They're that hot MILF
Here it goes.
that has that asshole kid that's a terror, and he's not your kid, and she enables the kid, and you're like, you need to spank him, you need to ground him, you need to do this away, and the problem is people look at that and they're like, are the Cardinals gonna be that enabler getting away and be like, no, you got to be easy on Kyler, he's got to come along, like that's what that is. So they're the hot single mom with a kid that's out of control. That's what the Cardinals are. And you're like, is it worth it? Is the hotness worth it? I don't know if it is. You got to ask that question.
Brian Flores is the leader in the clubhouse right now.
That's what happened tomorrow.
What?
That should be announced like tomorrow. That's where he needs to be. And if I'm him, I'm like, D'Amico Ryan's got 6 years from the Texans. That's where I'm starting. And if he whatever with Kyler Murray, if Kyler Murray doesn't want Flores there, then Flores should have some veteran quarterback that he has on speed dial. Get him over there. And if Kyler doesn't want to deal with it, you bench him. Start your veteran. The fans might whatever, but that's how I would handle that situation.
Yeah.
If I was Brian Flores, I would go old school Kyler Murray. I would throw him under the bus in a press conference like a Bill Parcells would. Like straight up. I would, because that's what he's going to need. He needs to be humbled and not know that he can't out-athlete everyone in the NFL. And, Brian Flores, if he gets hired, we talk about minority coaches having a short leash. I don't think he's going to have a short one, because the league's going to be like, yo, Arizona, you better do what's right here. You know what I mean? Because there's going to be a big lens on that. And if I'm him, I'm not letting this QB sink my career. Like, I'm going to be like, this is what I'm dealing with. He needs to be better at this. He needs accountability like he does. What did you like about what did you not like about the game, Coach? Where do you think Kyler can improve? Well, I think he shouldn't make a pouty face on the sideline when things don't go his way. I think his body language and posture should be better. He should be more positive with his teammates and show more of a leadership role being the quarterback of this team. Like
I'll tell you right now, if the Arizona Cardinals hire Brian Flores, I bet you Kyler Murray turns his career around. I really believe that.
If they let him
Kyler Murray is super talented, and I was a fan of his until I started seeing the crying and the babyish and the showing up your teammates. Patrick Peterson called him out. His own organization called him out with the contract.
D-Hop.
DeAndre Hopkins, AJ Green.
Remember where Brian Flores comes from, the school of hard coaching, which is New England. Okay. And Brady said the reason why he liked it or why he succeeded is being able to be coached hard. And that's where Flores comes from. And he stuck true to his roots. That caused him problems in Miami. Not that it should have, but, with the Tua situation, because he was trying to coach him hard. And guess what? That's his makeup as a coach. So if they hire him, he might be able to turn it around for him, because he's not gonna waver. What's he have to lose at this point?
Do they have like the third or fourth pick? They're up there.
Third,
yeah.
I mean, they're gonna get a elite defensive player to replace JJ Watt, because they're gonna get one of those two ridiculous
Carter or Anderson.
Yeah. So I don't think it's a bad situation.
I take Carter. I mean, I'm not saying Anderson's bad. I would just take Carter.
Why?
Listen, I just think there'd be a force to have him up the middle, man. I mean, I like building from the trenches.
I think Carter's a better fit for the Bears, and I think Will Anderson Jr. is a better fit for the Arizona Cardinals. Will Anderson Jr. playing on that carpet down there in Arizona, and Will Anderson's mind for the game is just ridiculous. It's one of the best defensive minds I've ever seen. He blows plays up at Alabama, and to go from Nick Saban to Brian Flores would be the perfect move, in my opinion. Just giving you my 2 cents. We got to wrap it up this week, Pregaming Pigskin. Any final thoughts, gentlemen? We had a fun show. Next week will be our pre-gaming Super Bowl. We're going to invite some others on there. Hopefully we can get 6 people in here. I really want to get a whole panel for the Super Bowl, and we'll pre-game the Super Bowl.
Final thought is you'll hear all leading up to probably the show next week how Eagles fans ran Andy Reid out of town. Don't believe the hype. All right. We talked a lot about that on Birds Deep. We did not run him out of town. That's bullshit. That's lazy reporting if people say that. So,
I mean, final thought, I guess, for me is I can't wait for next week to talk the Super Bowl, but I've been kind of seeing a lot of TikTok and whatever about the Kelsey brothers. I feel like I've become such a fan of theirs just with like clips of their show and stuff. So I'm excited to see the two. Yeah, see them in a Super Bowl. I think it's going to be really fun. But I will say some more of that for next week. But yeah, definitely a great show. You know, I really hope Brian Flores gets the Arizona job because, like we've said on here, he definitely deserves one. And if he does, Kyler Murray, get in line. You'll have a great coach, and you'll be successful. So, hoping that's what happens.
I meleeed Kyler Murray last night on COD. True story. Modern Warfare 2. Prestige 98. No, just joking.
My final thought is to it, Mr. Ross. Yo, listen, Danny, I love you, bro. He's a Dolphins fan. Thank you guys for tuning in this week. Pregaming Pigskin. We have fun. That's T. Godfrey. That's the Prince of Production, Kyle Edwards. I'm Gene Waltek. Thank you for tuning in. Sports Empire Network, signing out.